From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It's Friday, September 4th, and right now on Good Morning Indiana.
So people have to act responsibly on Labor Day.
Health officials are concerned about another COVID-19 spike as millions of people are preparing to travel this holiday weekend. Working for you, our Kelsey Anderson talked with local experts about the best practices to follow to keep you and your family safe.
This morning, good news for Indianapolis bars and nightclubs. Mayor Joe Hogsett announcing that they can get back to business next week. We'll break down the latest reopening plan and the restrictions still in place in Marion County.
The pandemic has caused many Hoosiers to cancel vacations, concerts, and more summer plans. But some people are still having problems getting a refund. What can you do to get your money back?
It's one of those things that there's an outpouring of public support whenever an officer is killed.
And the community will come together this weekend to honor law enforcement officers that made the ultimate sacrifice. Details on this year's Cops Cycling for Survivors event and how you can get involved.
And here at 6:01, we want to thank you for joining our team here on Good Morning Indiana. We finally made it through your work week. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Nicole Griffin in for Raphael again. And Todd, you've been telling us all week that this weekend was going to be really nice. And I noticed right when I stepped out the door this morning, it feels great outside.
You know, I think it's the first thing you'll notice as you walk out the door. So I'm glad you did notice that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Nicole, because the humidity has come way down. It's a far cry from where we were yesterday when we had the muggy conditions. We had the kind of the damp conditions with rain to the south and the patchy fog to the north and that fog advisory. Nothing really to worry about as you take to the roadways and the kids head off to the bus stop this morning if they are doing so. You may want to grab a light jacket, and that's just about it because temperatures currently are sitting in the 50s and 60s depending on where you are. Cooler to the north with clear skies at 54 degrees. Bloomington's at 62 and Indy is at 60 degrees currently. And there's just a little bit of high thin cloud cover out there this morning, especially in southern locations. But soon as the sun comes up, we'll burn that cloud cover off and we'll be left with nothing but sunshine as we work our way throughout the day. And you can see that band of cloud cover right along the front that worked its way through, kind of stretches all the way from New England back through southern Indiana down towards Arkansas. But we'll clear out here this morning with any cloud cover basically burning off very quickly. 72 by the noon hour with a high temperature today up to 75 degrees. Some areas get a little closer to 80 in southern locations, but enjoy the low humidity. We'll talk about the rest of the Labor Day weekend for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now down in Johnson County. This is I-65. A view here near Main Street. You can see traffic in Greenwood is moving along up to speed. Both northbound and southbound, no crashes here to slow you down. The only crash I'm monitoring right now is on the north side of town at Harcourt Road near West 86th Street. No injuries to report there. And overall, traffic around the metro area is traveling up to speed for your Friday commute. It is 6:03. A much-needed three-day weekend is finally here, and health officials in Indiana and across the country, Nicole, are reminding everyone, be smart and be safe this holiday weekend.
WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning. And Kelsey, we've seen surges in cases after the other holiday weekends.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. We did see those surges after Memorial Day and after the 4th of July, both nationally and just here in Indiana. And that's why health experts are urging everyone to practice social distancing and not hang out in large groups. So Labor Day is not as big of a travel weekend as Memorial Day or July 4th, so much so that AAA no longer puts out a travel forecast. But you can imagine people are ready to get out of the house. Dr. Christina Box warns large gatherings have proven to be rapid COVID spreaders through contact tracing. The state has been able to identify dozens of cases from events like weddings, funerals, parties, and church gatherings.
What this shows us is that COVID can spread quickly in large gatherings, especially when people aren't staying 6 feet apart and wearing masks. Please pay attention to that as you make your plans for Labor Day weekend. We saw a surge in patients after Memorial Day and our July 4th gatherings. I don't want to see that surge after Labor Day. Make this weekend a safe one, Hoosiers.
Now, if you are desperate to get away this weekend, try doing something outside, maybe like camping, that allows you to remain socially distant from others. And we've been telling you these tips since March, since the beginning of this pandemic, but we're going to tell you again this weekend. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, and practice social distancing. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Good advice, Kelsey. Thank you. Now to the numbers that drive the decisions by city and state leaders and educators. The State Department of Health reported an additional 1,110 positive COVID-19 cases, the highest number in this 5-day period. The total number is nearly 97,000. The overall positivity remains at 8.8%. The state also reported an additional 4 COVID-19 deaths. They occurred between August 13th and September 1st. The statewide total is now 3,110.
Well, bars and nightclubs here in Indianapolis can reopen using 25% of indoor seating and 50% of outdoor seating beginning on Tuesday. Under the rules, people must be seated at tables that hold 6 people at most. Bar top seating will remain closed. Mayor Joe Hogsett said that the new regulations, quote, last so long as business owners and customers take the obligations under these public health orders seriously, end quote. Also, starting Tuesday, pedestrian corridors in Broad Ripple and Mass Ave, they are set to reopen. While roads will reopen to vehicular traffic, businesses there may continue to operate using the provided concrete barriers. Those businesses have until today to let the city know if they plan to continue to use those permitted parking spaces for outdoor seating. Indy DPW will cover the costs through the end of November. The temporary pedestrian corridor along Georgia Street between Pennsylvania and Meridian Streets will continue to be closed to vehicular traffic.
The IU School of Medicine is putting a call out for volunteers to participate in testing of an experimental COVID-19 vaccine. The trial will be conducted at IU Health University Hospital in Indianapolis. The medical school is one of 81 sites in the U.S. chosen to test the vaccine developed by a British company. It's the only site in Indiana. Researchers are looking to enroll about 1,500 volunteers. This will be over a period of 8 weeks when the site is activated in mid-September. Volunteers must be over age 18, have never tested positive for COVID-19, and be at increased risk for contracting the virus. For more information, go to WRTV.com or the WRTV News app and click on this story.
So hundreds of students in Bloomington are scrambling to find a new place to live. IU is encouraging all students living in Greek housing to move out because COVID-19 is spreading from member to member fast. So far, they've quarantined students in 30 of those houses. Riley Sample is one of them. So she decided to move out of her sorority house and get an apartment. She's spending the remainder of her time in quarantine with her family.
I expected this. I gave it 2 weeks when she left, and I think she thought I was joking. I was not. And when you stick kids together, 80 or 100 kids in a house, there was just no way that this was going to end up any other way.
To my college peers, I think this just goes to show that this is serious and that we have to take this seriously or we're not going to be on campus at all.
IU administrators say that some of the Greek houses' positivity rates are more than 50%. They can't close down the Greek houses because the school doesn't own them. That decision is left up to each Greek organization's national leadership.
With more people working from home and schools doing e-learning, internet has become even more essential. To help, Governor Eric Holcomb announced $51 million in grants to expand internet access across the state. The money is part 2 of the Next Level Connections grant program. There will be 2 rounds of projects serving nearly 22,000 homes. Some of the counties involved are Hendricks, Monroe, Brown, and others further to the south and west. The program allows service providers to apply for up to $5 million in grants to expand their service in underserved areas.
It is 6:09 new this morning. Parents in Washington Township are reaching out to WRTV about their concerns with the district's new reopening guidance. They've even started a petition hoping to get the plan changed. Washington Township students have been doing virtual learning since the school year started back on July 30th. In a new plan posted to the district's website, it states in order for students to return, the COVID-19 positivity rate must be 5% or lower in Marion County. 2 weeks after the rate drops below that threshold, elementary students would return in stages to full-time in-person learning 5 days a week. Grades 6 through 12 would start a hybrid schedule 2 weeks after the elementary school students return.
Originally on August 12th, they presented a 4-tiered approach, which aligns with Marion County's guidelines of going back to school in person. They presented a 3-tiered approach, which was in line with that, more in line with that, but not exactly matching. and then basically eliminated the tiered approach.
You know, it's frustrating that we are not following the experts in public health, and the school board is making their own decisions in relation to the positivity rate and returning to school.
So the county's tiered approach guidance states that when the percent positive is 13% or higher, there should be no in-person classes. But in Washington Township, if the percent positive is 5.1 or higher, schools will close or remain closed with no in-person learning. Right now, Marion County is at 5.2%. We've asked the district spokeswoman why the board decided on this stricter approach to returning compared to the county's guidance. She's working on getting a response.
And Lauren, this weekend, the community will come together to remember fallen law enforcement from across the state. Coming up, how the coronavirus pandemic is impacting the annual event and how you can still take part. Todd.
And Nicole, after kind of a wacky week of weather with dense fog, thunderstorms, humidity, temperatures in the 80s, we've cleared all that out now, and we're ushering in a completely new air mass with the passage of a cold front last night. We're pushing the heat and humidity to our south, and the cooler air to our north is starting to work its way into the forecast, setting us up for a pretty nice stretch of weather heading into the Labor Day holiday. We'll talk all about it coming up in your WRTV Storm Team forecast when Good Morning Indiana returns in just a few minutes.
It is 6:14. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Here's a live look right now down on the south side of town. We do have flashing lights here on I-65 and I-465. That's in the left northbound lane as you're traveling on I-65. And you'll need to get out of the left lane anyways, because as you see there, we do have that construction in the lane there as you're traveling northbound as you're getting towards Keystone Avenue, where we have that ongoing bridge project. Of course, we'll keep you updated. So this weekend, the community has a chance to memorialize fallen law enforcement officers here in Indiana and make sure that their survivors know that they're not forgotten.
Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning in Plainfield, where this year's ride will take place. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning, Nicole. And this event is going to be a little bit different this year, but the message is still the same, honoring fallen officers in Indiana and the survivors they left behind. And in 2019, there were 2 line of duty deaths, and both those men are featured on the resource truck outside of the Law Enforcement Academy here in Plainfield. Chief David Hewitt of the Rising Sun Police Department and Trooper Peter Bo Stephen with Indiana State Police. This truck would typically be following the cyclists as they go around the state for a 13-day ride, but things are different this year because of the pandemic. The 19th annual Cops Cycling for Survivors bike ride was originally scheduled for July, but it was postponed to September. In typical years, active and retired officers, along with their survivors of fallen law enforcement officers, bike 1,000 miles across Indiana over the course of 13 days. But this year, it's all going to take place on one day, this Saturday. We talked with a lieutenant at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy about why he takes part in this event.
Well, one of my best friends was a police officer in Texas who was killed in the line of duty. So I've been directly affected, and I know what the survivors go through. It's one of those things that there's an outpouring of public support whenever an officer is killed, but it's just human nature that dies out. But the survivors are left with a huge hole in their hearts for the rest of their lives. So we want to make sure that that hole in some small way is filled.
Money raised goes to help memorialize officers killed in the line of duty and help their surviving family members and co-workers. And people are encouraged to come out tomorrow between 8:30 and 5 o'clock. They can ride their bikes along with officers and family members of fallen officers here at the track at the Plainfield Training Academy. They can also actually sign the truck. It's a way of showing their support for the fallen officers as well as the survivors. And you can see on here some of the messages people have wrote. Never forget. May you live through. Thank you for your service. So a lot that you can do this weekend to show your support for law enforcement across central Indiana. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
All right, thank you so much, Alyssa. It's a beautiful morning out there, and it'll be a nice afternoon as well, as we've gotten rid of all the humidity that was around, and we've ushered in not only lower humidity, but some cooler temperatures as well. And we'll have these cooler temperatures with us in place today and tomorrow before we start to warm things up heading into Labor Day itself. This morning, there's still a little bit of cloud cover out there, so we'll call it partly cloudy, but that cloud cover burns off very, very quickly, and then 100% sunshine this afternoon, this evening. Very, very nice. So one of the things we can do when we have sunshine and low humidity is warm things up very quickly, but also cool things down very quick. And you'll notice that change later on this evening. This morning as you walk out the door, we're in the 50s and 60s. 54 in Kokomo, 60 in Indianapolis, 62 is the current temperature in Bloomington. And here's that satellite picture. These are high, thin clouds, so it looks a little worse on the satellite radar picture than it really is. But these clouds will move out, and then we'll enjoy the sunny skies in the afternoon hours with no threat of rainfall in the forecast for the day today. So we're in the 60s through 11 a.m. and then once we get into the afternoon hours, we'll have plenty of sunshine. 73 degrees by 2 p.m. Then highs today anywhere between 75 and 80 degrees for most of us, with the sunshine throughout the afternoon hours. This evening sunset just after 8 o'clock. Once the sun does set, it will cool off very, very quickly. So that's what I meant by warming it up to highs near 80 and then cooling it off back into the 60s pretty quickly this evening. So you may want to have a light jacket if you do have Friday night plans, as temperatures will eventually by tomorrow morning be getting all the way down into the mid 50s for most locations. Wouldn't be shocked if a couple locales in the outlying areas maybe get into the upper 40s to start off your Saturday. But just like today, tomorrow features low humidity, so we'll be able to warm it up very quickly as well, with high temperatures that'll eventually be topping off right around 80 degrees for your Saturday, and then by 8 p.m. still at 74. So tomorrow's another very comfortable day for us, but then things start to change on Sunday. It's still comfortable Sunday morning with low humidity at 58 degrees, but the humidity will start to climb on Sunday up to 84 degrees in the afternoon for your high temperature. Then we're up to 87 on Labor Day, so it's going to be above normal. Labor Day, there could be a spot storm in the forecast, but better rain chances arrive as we get into the middle half of next week, as things just start to get a little unsettled across the area, and with the rain showers and more in the way of clouds, eventually cooler temperatures with a high next Thursday of right around 74 degrees.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this morning. Let's head north of the downtown area. This is I-65, a view from the pedestrian overpass. This is near 38th Street. You can see traffic is moving along just fine. No major issues here to slow you down. I also want to show you that those orange barrels, those are pulled out of the travel lanes through this area this morning, so no lanes are restricted at this time.
Well, this year, colleges encouraging students to vote are trading knocking on doors for typing on keyboards. Campus political committees are hosting recruiting fairs on Zoom and using social media to get the word out. For many students, it will be their first chance to vote in a presidential election. However, organizers say there are definitely some fallbacks to the virtual approach, since it can just be easy to scroll past a post. Typically, younger people are less likely to vote, but data from Tufts University shows participation has been going up in recent elections.
Now to the race for 2020. Joe Biden was in the battleground state of Wisconsin on Thursday, meeting privately with the family of Jacob Blake. The former vice president also spoke to Blake on the phone. The 29-year-old is still at the hospital and paralyzed after being shot in the back by a police officer 7 times. After meeting with the family, Biden held a community meeting where he denounced the violent protests that erupted after the shooting. He also said the president, who visited the city the day before him, is only making things worse.
I thought you could defeat hate. Hate only hides. It only hides. And when someone in authority breathes oxygen under that rock, it legitimizes the dark side of human nature.
The president responded to Biden's visit, saying in part, quote, "He was a little late. We ended that problem," end quote.
The pandemic has canceled plans from travel to concerts, and some people are still waiting to get their refunds. Coming up, we'll show you what you can do to get your money back so you don't waste your money.
And the wait is over today. The live-action version of Mulan drops on Disney Plus for the users with the premiere access. Coming up on GMA, the film's director, Nikki Caro, tells us what it was like to transform a beloved animated tale into an action-packed adrenaline rush. Looking forward to that. Good morning to you and happy Friday. Lawrence, Logansport, LaPel, all great places to live here around central Indiana. It is 6:22. Stay with us. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on WRTV. Welcome back. The time right now is 6:24 here on our Friday. Nicole, it is time to talk about what is trending at 6. So Burger King is making plans to adapt to the coronavirus age by redesigning their restaurants. The plans include triple drive-thrus, burger pickup lockers, and takeout counters. They will be the first ones in Miami, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Burger King has been working on the new restaurant designs for a few years now, but the pandemic put the focus on trends like online ordering and to-go orders. There you go.
A Los Angeles nonprofit that helps people with special needs is now making horse calls. Tara's Choice is reuniting therapy horses with kids who haven't been able to visit the stables and ride because of the pandemic. Parents say it helps with their kids' health, strength, and happiness. The staff at Tara's Choice say they get a lot out of it too because they miss the kids. I bet they do.
Oh, that's such a good idea. So a fun fall tradition. It's still going on this fall at PRAIRIE, very socially distant. As you can imagine, this corn maze is this year's 22,000-foot maze. It'll honor the 200th anniversary of Sleepy Hollow. So the maze depicts a sword-wielding headless rider leaping out of a book. There are 3 ways for you to enjoy this adventure: the family-friendly puzzle maze, a kids maze, and a haunted one. This all begins on September 26th. I am always amazed how they do these corn mazes. I'm sure they use drones and computer technology now.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that would take a really long time to get through.
Yes.
It's huge.
Yes. And you may want to do it on a day that's cooler or nice out, like today, just in case you get lost, Todd.
Yeah, you know, you can just wander around there getting a suntan and saying, I love how blue the sky is today without the humidity around and how the temperatures are so comfortable, because we really have a fabulous Friday forecast for you out there today, especially after we were dealing with the warmth and the humidity throughout much of this week. So as the kids head off to school and you head off to work this morning, temperatures hovering right around 60 degrees. So you may want the light jacket at the bus stop. But as everybody heads home, whether it's from work or school, or if the kids are doing e-learning at home, send them outside because it'll be beautiful out there. 75 degrees later on this afternoon after a high of about 78 with sunshine this evening. If you have Friday night plans, it does cool off very, very quickly though. We'll talk more about not only tonight, but the rest of this Labor Day holiday forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Chances are that something you had planned to do in 2020 got canceled due to the pandemic. But many people are growing frustrated because they're still waiting for their refund. Working for you, John Matarese has advice to get your money back so you don't waste your money.
From vacation rentals to air travel to concerts, so many things have been canceled due to the pandemic. But the toughest part can be trying to get a refund. Kathy Salfeld had to cancel her family reunion at a Verbo beach house this spring.
It ended up costing us almost $14,000.
Verbo offered a voucher for future travel, but no refund. Eula Williams and Lainey Daly had their Frontier Airlines flight canceled, so they got vouchers, but recently discovered the vouchers had already expired.
There's nothing they can do about it that my money is gone.
And Michelle Harper was planning a summer filled with concerts.
I personally bought Nickelback and the Doobie Brothers.
When they were canceled, Michelle contacted Groupon, where she bought the tickets for a refund.
They were only giving Groupon bucks. They weren't issuing any kind of money back to your cards.
So what can you do if your travel company or event won't give you a refund? Well, the first thing you should do is appeal, then escalate, and then finally, dispute. Appealing can be as simple as calling customer service. Escalating means contacting a supervisor, then sending an email to the company with a copy to the company president. Disputing means filing a complaint first with your credit card, then the Better Business Bureau, finally the state attorney general. We're happy to report that after we worked with Eula Williams, Frontier agreed to extend her vouchers, and Groupon agreed to refund Michelle's concert tickets. We had no luck with Verbo, though, which is only giving vouchers, not full refunds. To protect yourself, pay by credit card, not debit or check. That way you can dispute a charge and you don't waste your money. I'm John Matteries. Good morning, Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this Friday morning, here's a look at your 6:30 news feed. A man is dead after a shooting on the west side of Indianapolis. Police were called to North Coney Street near West 16th Street and Riverside Drive last night. Officers say a man was dead of a gunshot wound just inside the front door of a home. The man's name has not been released.
Metro Police are investigating a crash on the city's northeast side. This all happened around 1:30 this morning near 56th Street and Allisonville Road. Officers say that a car crashed into a utility pole. The driver was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The passenger in the vehicle was also taken to the hospital. That person is expected to survive.
Deputies in Putnam County are trying to figure out who dumped 6 dogs on a county road. A sheriff's deputy found the dogs, including 4 puppies near County Road 200 North and County Road 25. Officials say the dogs were in poor condition, had open sores and a flea infestation. Authorities are asking you to call the Putnam County Sheriff's Department if you know who may have abandoned the dogs. We want to welcome you in here to Good Morning Indiana on this Friday. I'm Nicole Griffin in for Raphael this morning.
And Nicole, it has been great to have you the past few days. Hopefully Raphael is taking a much needed break here, enjoying some time off. And he'll have some great weather for that, Todd, because today is going to be a beautiful day in the forecast.
It really is. It's the best weather day of at least the work week. Tomorrow is going to be another really, really nice day. So it's really a flip of a coin whether you prefer today or tomorrow. The only real difference is tomorrow's high temperature going to be a couple degrees warmer, but a nice refreshing change for us compared to what we've been seeing throughout much of this week with the warmer temperatures and the humidity that's been around. That is all gone here this morning. So what do you need to grab before you go as you walk out the door? Well, grab the sunglasses. You'll need those. And don't forget the sunscreen. Even though we're in September now, the sun's still fairly strong. You don't get sunburn quite as quick as you did the previous months, but still need to use some form of skin protection. Sun's starting to brighten the sky there. There's some high thin clouds out this morning, so we are starting off partly cloudy with temperatures in the 50s and 60s across the area, but the high thin cloud cover will burn off very quickly once the sun comes up, and then we will be left with mostly sunny skies by the time we get to the noon hour, and then completely sunny skies as we head into the afternoon and evening. Your 5 p.m. temperature, 75. I think our high today is probably around 77 to 78 degrees. So it's a great way to end the work week and start the holiday weekend. We'll talk more about Labor Day for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks. Let's take a look at traffic right now as you're heading out on the roads, maybe heading to work or school this Friday morning. This is a live look at I-465 and Man Road to our southwest, where traffic is moving along up to speed both eastbound and westbound. You can see the sun starting to peek up there over the horizon as well. It's a pretty smooth morning commute so far. Well, a much-needed 3-day weekend is finally here, Nicole, but health officials here in Indiana and all across the country, they want to remind everyone to be smart and be safe if you're going out this holiday weekend.
Yeah, our Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning. And Kelsey, we've seen surges in cases after other holiday weekends.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. In May and in July, we saw those surges after Memorial Day and July 4th. And health experts say it's because people weren't practicing social distancing and were also going to those large gatherings. Now, Labor Day isn't as big of a holiday as Memorial Day and the 4th of July. It's so much so that AAA doesn't even offer a travel forecast. But as you can imagine, people are ready to get out of the house. Indiana's Dr. Christina Box warns large gatherings have proven to be rapid COVID spreaders. Through contact tracing, the state has been able to identify dozens of cases just from events like weddings, funerals, parties, and church gatherings. National health officials also said this week that people need to be vigilant this Labor Day weekend.
So people have to act responsibly on Labor Day. I think being outside is great. Going out to the beach is great. It's the large indoor gatherings, it's the bars, it's the indoor dining, it's the house party where you have 30 people inside your home. Those are the things that are going to really set off big outbreaks. Those are the things that people absolutely have to avoid.
So if you do want to do things this weekend, make sure you have them outside and have a plan B. That way, if you do have an outside party and it does rain for some reason, and Todd says it's going to be beautiful outside, you can have a plan so not everyone's back in your house. We're going to give you those same tips we've been giving you since March. This weekend, wear a mask, wash your hands, and practice social distancing. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. After several days of better numbers, new COVID-19 cases were back above 1,000 mark on Thursday. The state health department reporting more than 1,100 new COVID-19 cases. Since the pandemic began, nearly 97,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. The department also confirming 4 additional COVID-19 related deaths. Since March, more than 3,100 Hoosiers with the coronavirus have died.
One of the biggest school districts in central Indiana will soon be sending students back to the classroom at least part of the time. The Hamilton Southeastern School Board voted 4-3 to move students in grades 5 through 12 back into the classroom in a hybrid plan. The hybrid plan was already scheduled to begin for kindergarten through 4th grade students after the holiday weekend. The change came after protests from Hamilton Southeastern parents calling for in-person learning to resume.
We get hundreds of emails every week, and we read through them, and I have them in files in different categories. And parents, 86% of parents want the students back in the schools, and the teachers are best equipped to teach.
Parents we talked to say they are comfortable sending students back to a physical classroom after seeing how other school districts are navigating the pandemic. They say remote learning can be overwhelming at times.
Thinking as an adult, this is pretty hard to read through all the emails, make sure you get the passwords right and all that stuff. And they're doing a great job. I respect the kids. I can speak as an adult. There's no way in heck I'd be able to do what they're doing.
This week, the Fishers Health Department moved its COVID-19 community scale to moderate risk. Mayor Scott Fadness tweeted about the move, calling it an opportunity for kids to attend school.
Indiana University says all of its fraternity and sorority members should consider moving out of Greek housing, and that's because they say it continues to be a source of COVID-19 outbreaks. 30 of the 40 Greek houses at IU are still under quarantine. The university says that some houses there have a positivity rate of more than 50%. IU is now recommending that all of the school's Greek houses close for now, but some students say that would put them in a really tough situation.
I think that's really hard, especially because it's only been like the second week, so everyone's just now starting to get settled in. So to have to pick everything up and go find a place in such short notice is really hard.
I think that the corporations and the national directors need to step up and think about how they are going to help the students and their families move to other settings, or really figure out how they're going to make their houses significantly safer.
The Interfraternity Council at IU issued a statement to WRTV calling the recommendation, quote, irrational and dangerous. The Greek houses are privately owned as well, so IU does not have the authority to shut them down.
The coronavirus pandemic has forced dozens of central Indiana businesses to close up shop. But despite the restrictions and economic hardships, some new businesses have opened during the pandemic. That includes Apocalypse Burger in the Meridian Kessler neighborhood on the north side of Indianapolis. It opened in July and is part of the Patachou restaurant family. The owner came up with the idea during the stay-at-home order.
She was just kind of sitting around with her family talking about what she really wanted in this time of uncertainty, and the general consensus was just a really great burger. So this concept was kind of developed.
The restaurant started as carry-out only. Patio seating is available now with plans to open indoor dining soon. You can find a list of newly opened businesses around Indianapolis by downloading the WRTV app.
So tomorrow there's an opportunity to show support and memorialize law enforcement officers who have died in the line of duty here in the state of Indiana. Our own Alyssa Donovan is live this morning from the Law Enforcement Academy out in Plainfield, and she has all of the details. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning, Lauren. And normally for this event, this resource truck would be out following cyclists as they ride 1,000 miles across the state of Indiana, but instead it's parked here, and that's because they've had to make some changes this year because of the pandemic. Cops Cycling for Survivors is doing things a little bit different. The ride is usually held in July, but it was postponed and is now happening tomorrow. Typically, officers and survivors spend 13 days cycling that 1,000 miles across the state of Indiana, stopping and meeting with coworkers and families of fallen officers. But now the event will be held all on one day this Saturday. The 19th annual event honors fallen officers and the families and co-workers they left behind. In 2019, there were 2 line-of-duty deaths in Indiana. Chief David Hewitt of the Rising Sun Police Department and Trooper Peter Bo Stephen with Indiana State Police.
We spend our nights on church floors and school floors because every penny that we raise goes to survivors rather than paying for hotels and meals and things like that. And we just knew it wasn't going to happen. We wanted to make sure that our survivors knew that they were not forgotten, and we always want to remember our fallen heroes. So the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy stepped up and offered us the Emergency Vehicle Operations track.
Money raised goes to help memorialize officers killed in the line of duty and to assist surviving family members and coworkers. And the public is encouraged to come out here tomorrow between 8:30 and 5 p.m. They can pay their respects. They can ride alongside officers and family members of those fallen officers as they ride around the track here to memorialize those fallen officers in Indiana. They can also sign this truck. This is typically the resource truck. They update it every year, but you can leave a message for the family members and survivors left behind by these fallen officers in respect. A lot of these messages on here, you can see you will always be remembered. Thank you for your sacrifice. Gone but not forgotten. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Well, coming up down the stretch they come next. Labor Day weekend means the race for the White House will be in full effect. We'll show you where the president and his opponent are trying to win votes.
Welcome back. The time right now is 6:43 on our Friday. So the Labor Day weekend starts that final stretch of the campaign season.
As ABC's Inez de la Cuetara reports, the first voters will receive their general election ballots starting today.
Overnight, President Trump speaking to a throng of tightly packed supporters in the key state of Pennsylvania, openly mocking Joe Biden for wearing a mask.
Did you ever see a man that likes a mask as much as him?
This as Biden continues to blast the president's response to the COVID-19 crisis.
They don't want to talk about all those people who have died from COVID. They don't want to talk about the fact that almost 1 million people again file for unemployment, don't have jobs.
The president eager to turn the page.
Hopefully rounding the turn on the pandemic.
And looking ahead to November, but now facing criticism for suggesting voters in Pennsylvania and North Carolina vote twice, which is illegal.
These mail-in ballots are a disgrace, and they know it. Sign your mail-in ballot. Okay, you sign it and send it in, and then you have to follow it. And if on election day or early voting, that is not tabulated and counted, you go vote.
Meanwhile, as racial unrest continues in some cities across the country, Joe Biden touching down in Kenosha, Wisconsin, meeting with the family of Jacob Blake and speaking with Blake himself from his hospital bed.
He talked about how nothing was going to defeat him. He was not going to give up.
Biden denouncing the recent violent turn protests have taken, but also blaming the president.
I thought you could defeat hate. And when someone in authority breathes oxygen under that rock, it legitimizes the dark side of human nature.
As the campaign season kicks into full swing, today the first ballots of the 2020 presidential election will go in the mail in North Carolina as that state becomes the first to start voting. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
Trying to find the next head coach, the next hot young coaching name, maybe someone the Pacers are interested in. We'll have more on that coming up, but first a check of our forecast, Todd.
Beautiful day in store for us today on this Friday, and as we enter the holiday weekend, we really have decent weather. The one thing you will notice, though, as the weekend progresses is the humidity is going to start to increase once again. So that's why you really need to take advantage of today and tomorrow. By the time we get to Monday and Tuesday, we're in that muggy to very humid category. We'll break down not only today, but the holiday weekend for you coming up in your 7-day planning forecast when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
The Indiana Pacers are still looking for their next head coach. There are several reports out of Florida that the Pacers will be interviewing Miami Heat assistant coach Dan Craig for the job. Craig has spent more than a decade with the Heat organization, mostly as an assistant coach. He also spent one season as the head coach of the Heat's G League affiliate. Craig is also expected to interview for the Chicago Bulls head coaching job as well.
Well, the Pacers and Fever are teaming up to help educate people about racial equality and social injustice issues. Those teams, along with 9 other NBA and WNBA franchises, will host the 3rd annual Team Up for Change on October 22nd. It will be a free virtual seminar. The goal is to identify successful ways communities are addressing those issues. The leagues hope to get students, youth advocates, community leaders, team employees, and corporate partners involved in this effort. The time right now is 6:49. Let's get a check of our Friday forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by. Hey, TK.
Hey, Lauren, good morning to you. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody at home. Hope you have some outdoor plans, not only today, but in the coming days for the Labor Day holiday weekend, because the weather is really going to cooperate. It's a really nice stretch of probably 3 to 4 days that we can enjoy a low humidity, comfortable temperatures. Although by the time we get to Labor Day itself, it's starting to get a little more uncomfortable. More on that in just a second. Here's a live look from IMS past turn 2 towards downtown Indianapolis. Beautiful shot of the city skyline there, and you notice a little bit of cloud cover out there. We're still in the process of clearing the clouds out from the passage of that cold front that went through late yesterday evening, where the front went through a little bit sooner. The temperatures are a little bit cooler and the clouds are a little thinner. 54 in Lafayette, 60 in Indianapolis, where the clouds still are a little thicker. Bedford at 66 degrees. And as we work our way throughout the course of the next couple days, as I mentioned, the humidity is going to start to come up across the area. And we're going to eventually, by Monday and Tuesday, get back into those muggy conditions. But at least for today and tomorrow, it's going to be nearly a perfect day for us with low humidity, lots of sunshine, and very, very comfortable temperatures. We hold steady right around 60 degrees where we're at right now, probably through about 8 a.m. And then once the sun starts to get higher above the horizon, we'll start to warm things up quite quickly, and eventually 70 degrees by the time we get to 11 a.m. Here this morning. There's that cloud cover that I mentioned, clear skies to the north. And if you're in southern locations, you just hang on to the clouds for just a little bit longer here this morning. But by this afternoon, everybody is going to be enjoying almost 100% sunshine. We'll just see a few fair weather clouds that'll be around, and that is going to be just about it. So make those outdoor plans this afternoon or this evening. The one thing I will highlight, though, is as we can warm it up really quick with low humidity and lots of sunshine, we can also cool it off very quick. So by 4 p.m., we're looking at a temperature right around 75 after a high of about 77, 78 degrees. But by 8 p.m., we're already down to 70 degrees. And then as soon as that sun sets, we're going to be down into the 60s by 9 p.m. So it does cool off very quickly. So you may want to have a light jacket tonight if you're going to be out and about. And then as you wake up tomorrow morning, temperatures are going to be in the mid 50s. So it's a chilly start to the day, or a cooler start, I guess I should say, to the day tomorrow. But with sunshine right off the bat tomorrow, we'll warm up a little bit higher in temperature-wise tomorrow, going up to right around 82 degrees for your afternoon high. And then as we expand out on Sunday and on Monday, the temperatures get into the mid to upper 80s. So that's one change. And then you'll notice the humidity will start to come up a little bit on Sunday. So Labor Day itself is probably the most uncomfortable day of this long holiday weekend, but it's still not a terrible day, very summer-like actually. And as we work our way into next week, it's a little unsettled. The temperatures in the 70s and 80s, and also the chance of showers returning to the forecast.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading into work on this Friday morning. Here's a look on the near east side. You can see the city skyline there in the background, I-70 at Rural Street and Keystone Avenue. Everything is traveling up to speed. No major crashes or delays on your interstates this morning, so that is great news as you're waking up this morning. It is 6:52. Stick around. We'll have much more for you coming up on Good Morning Indiana. Stick around. Welcome back. It is time to wrap up our work week with some good news on this Friday morning, Nicole. So just over a week from now, the oldest living World War II veteran is having a birthday, and so his family wants you to help him celebrate.
Lawrence Brooks turns 111 on September 12th. That's a week from tomorrow. So during the war, Mr. Brooks was stationed in the Pacific as part of the 91st Engineer Battalion. He now lives in New Orleans, but because of the pandemic, he will not get to have his usual birthday bash. So Brooks' family and the National World War II Museum are asking people to send him a card or letter. Those cards can be mailed directly to the museum, and we will be sure to post that address at WRTV.com.
A big happy birthday to him. Well, if you think you know gardening, think again. A man has set a new record for the largest tomato ever grown in the UK. Take a look at that. Douglas Smith says it took around 2 months for this massive tomato to materialize. It's actually 6 regular beefsteak tomatoes fused into one while it was on the vine. Well, it measures 27.5 inches in circumference and it weighs almost 7 pounds. Wow, there's a little comparison now that you can see it by his face. It looks even bigger, so that is pretty crazy.
And he looks so happy.
Yes,
he's proud.
He loves that tomato. Oh, that's so funny.
He's probably thinking, well, this is going to make a lot of BLT sandwiches
Right,
or
yeah.
a lot of salsa or something. Yeah, right? There we go. All right, I encourage you to get outside the next few days as we have a beautiful stretch of weather. Today and tomorrow, the humidity is really, really low, and we have lots of sunshine in the forecast. Today, 78, 82 tomorrow. The next couple mornings are in the 50s. Once we get to Sunday and Labor Day itself, the temperatures come up into the mid to upper 80s. Humidity comes up as well. And then next week, a little unsettled as we'll be dealing with scattered showers and then eventually cooler temperatures working in by Thursday.
And we will leave you here with this beautiful look of the sun rising over central Indiana. We hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend.